Welcome back to this session of Learning Simplified. So in the last video, you would have seen how a typical core banking architecture looks like. So now we are just going to extend this a bit more to check how this architecture can be deployed on a multi-country or a multi-tenancy scenario. So this was the architecture which was presented here. You can see all the surround systems, but at the heart of it lies the core banking app server. And then we have the core banking database, and then they have all the surround systems to supplement and complement it. But just to make it simple, then let's strip off the other interfaces and let the heart of the CBS engine be remaining. The first one is the CBS application server where the UI, the business logic is hosted, and then the database where which acts as the data storage for the data. Some core banking vendors do have some kind of business logic residing in the database as well. So what are the different options? We're going to see the three main options. The first option is independent installations. As the name suggests, it's probably the simplest one. You replicate a installation into other countries as well. So this is the country one, country two, and country three. Now, this is the simplest deployment. Obviously, it comes with its pros and cons. The pros being that these independent installations are completely insulated. So a change or a hotfix done here will not impact the other two installations. Obviously, the DR drills can be done independently. DR drills are mandated by the regulator and it can differ from country to country. This can be done independently. Thirdly, and very important, is that the release management can be done independently. So if I have to do a patch set or a hard fix or a change control CR, I can do this independently without impacting the other two countries. Data residency is a very big advantage. Nowadays, regulators want to have the data residing in their jurisdiction. So because these are independent installations, you can have them hosted in country. But it comes with cons. The most important being is that the code base, even though you may want to start off with the same single code base, it's going to vary because each country is independent. Secondly, there is a higher maintenance OPEX of both IT and ops being independent installations. And finally, the higher capex on hardware. Hardware is going to be actually multiplied. The second one is a pretty simple one wherein you have just one installation where the branches access countries. So how it works is that in this database, I've given an example of country one and country two. Country one has three branches reporting to a head office, reporting to a group head office. Similarly, the three branches of country two reporting to head office two, reporting to this. So they have a hierarchy of branches and you have actually a logical separation of the country data. It's not a hard segregation, is just a logical segregation because the database itself is the same. You have a single app server. So it's a very simple setup. It is ensuring a single code base because you have a one app and one database. But the other thing which is important is a very low maintenance cost in terms of IT and ops because the single infrastructure. And natural extension is that the capex on the hardware is also very low. But the cons is that there is a lot of environment dependency. If you have something like an issue with country one, you're going to impact the other countries hosted on the same database. Independent DR drills cannot be done. You have to do both the countries together because the same infrastructure. Thirdly, the release management has to be common. So if you're deploying something, it becomes applicable for all. So your configurations are very important to ensure that the the requirement which you're doing is country specific if need be. Data residency restriction, obviously you cannot do it country wise. Everything has to be in the same data center. Finally, and very important, the data is not physically segregated, it's just logical segregated by branches. So third option is actually a good option between one and two, but again, it comes with its own pros and cons. So what it says is that I have a single app server, but the DB, if it's an Oracle DB, you can have a container database and you have two PDBs or two pluggable databases. I have an SMS or a security management system hosting the users. So based on where the users are accessed, it can redirect it to country one or country two. the respective PDBs. So you will have the branch structure of country 1 in PDB2, the branch structure of country 2 in PDB2. So these are actually physically segregated into pluggable databases. The natural advantage is that you will have a single app. Because you have a single app, it's a single code base. Obviously, for vendors which have database code as well, you cannot achieve a single code base. Secondly, you are achieving database segregation, which is a very important requirement because you have data stored in respective PDBs. The cons is that the environment dependency for hot fixes. So if you are depending on putting a fix, or let's say on the app tier, it's going to impact both country 1 and country 2 because the app tier is common. Finally, you cannot do independent DR tools. It has to be done together because of its the shared app layer. Release management to that extension, release management also has to be common. So while this brings it a lot of flexibility in terms of database segregation and single code base for the app, the biggest disadvantage is that you're actually there's dependency on how you roll out fixes, patch sets, and releases. So that comes which scenario is exactly best fit for my business need. Now that depends. So you have seen option 1, independent installation, option 2, countries as branches, and number 3, using pluggable databases, achieving database segregation. Now it depends on the scenario. The first one, independent installation, is best fit for retail banks having large volumes and having data residency issues. Option 2 is ideal for subsidiaries, wherein you want to have subsidiaries of the same bank in the same country because you don't require physical segregation, or for big corporate banks in different international locations. And the third option is probably ideal for international ops where there is no such data restrictions needed. So you can actually go for option 3. So as you can see, these options are depending on your business needs and you can choose which best suits you for that particular need. So thank you for being with us. In the next release, we're going to see some of the highlights of SR 2025 which Swift released, especially in terms of its support for hybrid addresses. Thank you.